Hello everyone and welcome to Sister Stories. We're happy to spend time with you today as we are curious to explore amazing stories of women from all over the world. Today we are in Fishers, Indiana, and I'm reconnecting with one of my favorite people on earth. Angela, please introduce yourself to your Global Sisters.
Hello, Betsy. Good to see you again. And Global Sisters. I am Angela Cody Rouget. I'm also known as Major Mom. I was a major in the United States Air Force, and my nickname became Major Mom when my daughter Liliana was born. And ever since then, that nickname has stuck with me.
Well, it's more than a nickname as we're going to explore today as we tell your story. But let's go back. So first, what led you, what's your upbringing? What led you to your service for our country? And then what led you to this amazing career after your service, capitalizing on your organizational talents and skills and really helping the world one stack of paper at a time?
Yes. We organize one household at a time, and we are on a mission to do that around the world. However, if I go back to my beginning roots, I always let people know my grandmother is 100% German, and I still have lots of family in Germany, Stuttgart, which I go back there every 2 to 5 years. And I can tell a difference from when my French husband and I cross over the border from France to Germany. There is a difference. The difference in the cleanliness of the bathrooms, the orderliness of how things run, and there's something about that culture. So I naturally have this gift of creating order as German roots. But if I go back to the beginning, so many moves. We moved, I think, 16 times by the time I was 14.
Wow.
And so born in Florida, ended up in Indiana for high school, Bloomington, Indiana, and Indiana University. So all that chaos, moving things and only can put as much as we can fit into a trash bag or one suitcase, gave me the skill to quickly determine what was a treasure and what was not, and forget about the rest, knowing that they were always replaceable. As long as my mom, my sister, and I were together and we were safe, none of the stuff really ever mattered to me. Of course, there was always a few treasures, and they made it to that suitcase. But that's why I am so passionate about creating order, and that's why I did so well in the military, because they like things orderly.
Well, tell us about your military service, because, I have not yet, you're the first person that I've interviewed that has had a military background. And I, of course, worked all over the world for the Department of Defense and just fell in love with all the people in the Army and the Air Force, of course, and just did a little bit for the Marines. But I just found the most talented, the most on fire people of service, in those branches. So tell us a little bit about your service.
I wish I could say that when I was a little girl, I always wanted to be in the Air Force, but that is not true. My grandfather was Navy, my uncles were Navy, and I never really heard very many good stories about the military because they were all very scary stories, Korea War, Vietnam War, and so that really wasn't something as a little girl that I thought about. But my high school sweetheart went into the Navy. So then I started Indiana University. I was going to drop an ad. If you don't know what drop an ad is, it's when you go into this big gym and you manually drop a college class and add a college class after about the first week of class when you realize you're going to fail it. Or you hate the professor.
That would be called get out. Drop an ad is kind of like get out.
It's a get out. It's like, this isn't going to go well this semester for me. And the gym is full and it's all manual forms. And so back in the day, I was doing a drop an ad. I was waiting in a very long line to probably drop statistics. And my professor at the time, I couldn't even understand him. He was from another country, and I just couldn't understand him, so I knew I was going to really suffer. I looked way over across the room, Betsy, and I see all these men in uniform, very, very handsome men. I'm an 18-year-old girl, and I thought, wow, what's over there? So I went over to the ROTC booth, and handsome captain working the booth recruited me in a matter of seconds. He said, you can take aerospace studies for free. We don't charge you for any of the ROTC classes. I was paying for college out of my own pocket and with loans, and that was interesting. He also said, you can also get a full ride scholarship if you apply. So hook, line, and sinker, I signed up for that ROTC class, and guess what?
Got a full ride scholarship.
I got a full ride scholarship.
Awesome.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, I was a B student my whole life.
Yeah, but that's
I didn't have
awesome.
any grade things. I had no real amazing skills. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was a God. That's my big God story, which is tied to the bus ministry where I found Jesus at 7 years old by the bus that would come by the apartment complex. So all these little God stories just sprinkled through my life, which I'm so happy
then
about.
Full ride scholarship at Indiana University, which I'm going to say nice things about, although I must say on the down low, it is my nemesis of my college, Purdue University. And the reason I know I'm all grown up is because I can say nice things about Indiana University. So
you have come a long way.
I have come a long way from the days of college. Yes, rivalry. So you got your IU degree, and then where did you serve as, part of the deal?
Yes, part of the deal was you get a full ride scholarship, and then you have to go serve 4 years. That was all they asked of me, was 4 years. I ended up doing 8 years active duty, went to Colorado Springs, and we call them satellite command and control, where we, just like those little video games, we would talk to the satellites that were going around, global positioning satellites, defense support satellites, and making sure they were healthy and doing their jobs, and in a building with no windows, and so kind of felt like you were going into a cave for work. And then the military thought that I needed to learn how to shoot nuclear missiles, and so they sent me to missileer training, combat crew commander, and I spent the next 3 years in a hole down underneath the ground with the keys to the nukes. And that was one heck of a stressful career field. But all along that time, as I'm down in the hole 24, 48 hours, I started growing this huge entrepreneur passion. I love the military and I thrived in it because I'm high performance and I'm organized, but there was this entrepreneurial soul inside of me, and I was reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was reading Built to Last. I started reading all kinds of books about amazing companies and how to build them. From the Air Force, that led me to being recruited out of the Air Force by corporate America. But then I stayed in the reserves for another 8 years.
Wow. Well, that's amazing service to our country. And we could talk all day about having the keys to the nukes and being underground, because I think that's really fascinating. So we might have to do follow-up sister story, the nukes. Angela and the nukes.
Yes.
Come back for round 2. So from there then, somewhere along this path, I know you met your husband and you started creating your wonderful family that you have today.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the transition from your service military career into being the mom part of Major Mom.
Yes, that was rough. When I got off active duty, I took a corporate job in Dallas. Like I said, I was recruited out of the military by Cameron Brooks. They headhunt for people like me, officers that are high performing. And so I got a big fat job and company car and expense and moved to Dallas, Texas, turned 30. I was single and loving life until about 6 months into living in Dallas by myself, and realized, where are my comrades in arms? And the corporate world is so much different than the military world. In the military world, when you join a unit, you're family and they will die for you. And it's just kind of, even though they're squabbling, it's just, you have that feeling. In corporate America, nobody's dying for you. Nobody cares. And so that was a very different thing for me to deal with. Lo and behold, that's when I meet my husband at a dinner party. A French woman invited me to her home, and she had all these French people there, a lot of French-owned companies in Dallas. And my husband was there. We didn't hardly say anything to each other most of that night because everyone was speaking French. And my French was not very good at that time, even though I studied it in high school and college. And 9 months later, I ended up eloping in Venezuela with that man, Frederic.
There you go. And that was the beginning.
That was the beginning of, a wonderful life, and becoming a mom and a family, and moving to Denver to be closer to my brother, and starting a life out in Denver, which is where both of my kids were born, which is where Major Mom, the company, was born, and where I became a mom in Denver, Colorado, where my heart still seems to reside.
Oh, well, we miss you in Denver, Colorado so much, and then we met you and Major Mom in Denver and followed you on your journeys across the country and back here in Indiana. So tell everyone a little bit about Major Mom and Major Organizers, as it has turned into, and just a little bit about your vision and why it's so important to really clean yourself up
Yeah.
Clean up your life and get a little bit organized. Get some organized on you.
Get it together, woman. It just feels so much better to be organized. And when I think I was really hard on stay-at-home moms as a career woman. I admit it. Anything I'm getting back at me at this point from other moms is well earned. As a military woman, I didn't understand a lot of the military spouses and staying home with all the kids, and then you go to their house. It was a complete disaster. And so I really had a hardened heart and jaded heart towards that life. And then when I became a mom, and those little ones left their stuff everywhere, and I became married, and the husband leaves his stuff everywhere, I was starting to see, oh, it's so simple to organize for ourselves when we live alone and we don't create mess. But then you have these other people come in, and I realized, oh wow, this is hard. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and I can't seem to maintain the organization. So, as God would have it, He crumbled away our real estate business to nothing, which we were doing incredibly well. So well that I walked away from my military career and my corporate career to be a full-time mom. And I was so happy. Loved being with my babies and taking them to dancing classes and art classes and just being a mom for a couple years. Then our real estate business crumbled, and I thought, oh wow. My husband said, hey, do you think you can go back to work in the military? No, I resigned my commission. You know, we were making so much money every month that I didn't even think this would ever happen so fast. And it happened so fast. We had no money coming in. Our savings was going down. And he came home one day and he said, Angela, you need to find a job. I'm like, I've looked everywhere. We both have MBAs. We have all this. We were just too qualified for everything out there at that point because people were getting rid of middle management and downsizing. This was the big storm, the big recession. And one day he came home, he said the craziest thing I had ever heard him say. I was watching Peter Walsh on the Learning Channel. He did this clean sweep show, which I loved watching. And he came in and he said, Angela, you should be doing that. And I'm like, I should be on TV? He said, no, you should organize people's homes. You organize everybody you know. You do their files in their garages and you help them in their kitchen. And you seem to do it for fun. And I said, it is fun, but why would I do it for a living? And so that's how it all started. That little seed of, well, wait a minute, that would be fun. And I just didn't know anyone in my family that did anything for fun to make money. It was get a job, work there for as many years as you can and retire, except my grandfather, who quit everything after he almost had his PhD to become an artist.
Oh, I love this story. And behind you can see just a little bit of some art from her family because it's all over her home. It's beautiful. So wow, so you started this Major Mom, which became Major Organizers, and then you teach other women how to have businesses by organizing. So you've created systems and training.
Yes.
Tell us just a little bit about the structure.
Well, thanks to the Air Force, checklists, operations manuals, and things like that, that's the first way how you duplicate yourself. So I first started duplicating my skills and my knowledge set and my natural given ability by hiring employees in Denver and training them through the Major Mom Academy how to organize, because there is an organized approach to organizing. You don't just walk in and start moving things around. That doesn't go very well. Some people might do it that way in their own home, but I'm talking as a business. We use the Major Mom method. Then after I had that business going for 8 years, we were doing amazingly well in Denver. We got moved to Arizona and then moved to California. And that's when God started really telling me, you're going to keep restarting and building your own business here, or are you going to teach others how to do it? And so then I started franchising. When I had the Shark Tank opportunity, I knew that Shark Tank came into my world, another godsend. I did not want that. I never thought about it, never dreamed about it. But when Shark Tank contacted us and said, hey, we're looking for female veteran entrepreneurs that are successful, will you apply to the show?
Well, yeah.
I didn't say yeah.
I said maybe.
I said
they have to call me personally. My favorite shark needs to call and ask.
Yeah. It was more like, okay, let me get back to you. And then, I don't know, because the first thing that happens, like most of us, is, well, they don't like service businesses. Well, they don't, they don't like mom-owned business. So the first thing that happens to me, which people go, I just can't believe that, is the enemy of my soul starts beating up on me. You'll embarrass yourself. Don't do it. And so I called my business partner and I said, over the last 10 years, how many people have told us to franchise and to grow? And she said, 200.
Right.
So I said, I guess I don't listen very well.
Right.
And I said, okay, God, this Shark Tank opportunity, I hear you loud and clear. I don't really want to do this. Franchising is litigious and it's scary, and I really don't want to go this route. Employees are scary enough sometimes, and so, and having their lives and managing all this. But I just walk through, I call it the fire, because Shark Tank is quite an experience.
Well, you looked great, and I think your pitch was great. And
thank you.
And then what happened after? So I know you didn't get a quote unquote deal, that the Sharks took a part of your business, by the way, which I think sometimes is a blessing. And then did it help get the word out about franchising?
It did. My first 3 franchise owners were because of my appearance on Shark Tank. And so we're growing slowly and methodically. Nothing as wild as my dreams, but it is growing slowly so that I can finish this last season of kids being home and be present for them. I have this really amazing feeling that when I become an empty nester, major mom and major organizers can kind of become my baby again, because I kind of had to hand my baby to somebody and then watch these other babies, and very consciously, which is why I moved home to Indiana, so I could have help with my teenagers, so that I didn't have to completely walk away from a career and a passion to be a mom. I figured out how to do both, and how to do both super great. Well, no, maybe not. Some years my business is just amazing, and then I can see my family's, suffering. And so then it has been a balancing act, and it's a tough one, but so worth it if you have a passion.
Well, I tell you, we could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. I always like to ask, when was it tough and what did you learn? And what I'm looking for is tips, as people say, oh, Angela, she went on Shark Tank. Oh, it's so easy for her. And I think we all go, oh my gosh, if you only knew the truth. And so I'd love to tell the truth with real women so all of us can hear. So just think of one time maybe that it was tough, and a tip you would give to someone listening.
Yeah, going on in front of 6 million people, I'm sorry, whatever you're thinking right now, it is not easy. But don't be afraid either. To push through that fear. So when things get really tough, and I am very hard on myself. I will beat myself up way before anybody else will. It's kind of like a learned trait that I got in childhood. Just go ahead and ditch on yourself first before anybody else can do it. But what I do when it's really hard and I'm fearful and I'm like, what am I doing? I get on my knees and I pray. And I try to silence all of that chatter that we all suffer from, and the heart palpitations, and quite frankly, diarrhea for weeks, before the show, like a lot of stress to perform and be perfect and do wonderful and not embarrass your family and, do all these things on TV. I just settled in with God. When I was out filming for Shark Tank, I was on my knees in that hotel room. Most of the time I would start getting palpitations, feeling really anxious. I bought all this healthy food for the hotel room, and I remember eating the healthy food and thinking, I'm going to eat healthy this week while I'm here, which is not what I always do. And I remember spitting out the healthy bar, going, don't change your diet, don't change anything, don't start eating healthy, then you have to poo all the time on the show. So it was kind of one of those, this is what real people go through, whether you're the president of the United States or you're a teacher in front of a classroom. We all have fears, and we start second guessing ourselves and terrified of judgment. And I got a lot of haters after the show, and even some of my family weren't very kind about the show and what, I should have said this and shouldn't have said that. And, I'm just wondering, wow, that's too bad. But at the end of the day, I said, you are who God says you are, and that's like my motto. You are who God says you are, not who your mom, your dad, your sister, your brothers, your aunt, your uncles, or even yourself. Better figure out why you're here on this planet, right, Betsy?
Yes. Well, I'm going to count that as your global statement
Yes.
to women of the world. You are who God says you are. That's a wonderful statement, Angela. Well, tell people how to get a hold of you. How would they contact you? If they're listening to this, how would they find you? And we'll also put this on the website, of course.
Well, they can go to majororganizers.com. And we have our contact me page. Now after Shark Tank, it's so easy to contact me personally. You go to majororganizers.com, contact us, and there's a little button just for you that can say I just want to say something nice to you or reach out to you. You don't want to hire us to organize your house. You don't want to do a franchise. We have a special button for my global sisters that want to reach out to me. I will give you a pep talk if that's what you're needing, because business and life is hard. God never promised it would be easy. It is hard, but don't give up. If you have a passion, you know that, Betsy, you didn't give up on your dreams. So thank you so much for having me as part of this Global Sisterhood, because I have a passion for helping other women, which is why I organize for so many moms.
Well, I know we're going to come back and talk to you again. And I just want to thank everyone for taking time to enjoy these stories of amazing women with real tips to help your life and your business. Please share these sister stories with your friends as we all help each other to live our best lives and make a difference in this world. This is your host, Betsy Wiersma.